How do systems of equations balance chemical equations for GED Math? Imagine trying to balance a seesaw with different weights on each side. To keep it level, you need to find the right amounts. That's similar to balancing chemical equations, but with numbers and elements. When you balance a chemical equation, you want the same number of each type of atom on both sides. This is based on the law of conservation of mass, which says matter can't be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. To do this, you adjust the numbers in front of the chemical formulas, called coefficients. Now, balancing chemical equations often involves solving systems of equations. These are sets of two or more equations that you solve at the same time. In algebra, you learn how to solve these using methods like substitution or elimination. For example, if you have a reaction where you need to balance iron and oxygen, you might set up two equations, one for the total number of iron atoms and one for oxygen atoms. You assign variables to the coefficients, like x for iron and y for oxygen. Then, you write equations based on the number of atoms involved. For instance, if you start with an imbalanced equation like iron plus oxygen turns into iron oxide, you might write x times iron plus y times oxygen equals the number of iron and oxygen atoms in the product. To balance it, you set up equations like to x equals the number of iron atoms in the product, and to y equals the oxygen atoms. Solving these equations helps you find the right coefficients to balance the equation. In the GED Math test, understanding how to set up and solve these systems of equations is key. It helps you see the relationship between the elements and how to adjust the coefficients correctly. The process involves writing equations based on the chemical formulas, then solving for the variables to find the smallest whole numbers that balance the equation. This method makes balancing chemical equations more systematic and less guesswork. So, in essence, balancing chemical equations with systems of equations is about translating the problem into algebraic equations. Then, you solve those equations to find the coefficients that make both sides equal in terms of atoms. Practicing this process improves your ability to handle similar problems on the GED Math test and even in science questions. Remember, both balancing chemical equations and solving systems of equations requiring careful attention to detail and a step-by-step approach. Once you get the hang of setting up the equations, solving them becomes much easier.